Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we will go through the highlights of this week's Daf Yomi course of study, Masechet Shabbat, pages 86 through 92. Pevav 86. Here we find a machloket, a disagreement among the Tanaim, as to the exact date of the revelation at Mount Sinai, Ma'amad Har Sinai, or Matan Torah. The viewpoint of the majority of the sages is that B'Shishi B'Chodesh, on the 6th day of the month of Sivan, Nitnu Aseret Hadibrot Yisrael, the 10 commandments were given to the people of Israel. However, Rabbi Yossi disagrees and says B'Shivabo, it was on the 7th day of the month. Everyone agrees, Kuli Alma B'Rosh Chodesh Atum Midbar Sinai, that the Israelites arrived at the mountain on the 1st day of the month, on Rosh Chodesh. And everyone agrees, Kuli Alma B'Shabbat Nitna Torah Yisrael, that the Torah was given on Saturday, on the Sabbath. Where they disagree is to the date of the week on which Rosh Chodesh occurred. According to Rabbi Yossi, Rosh Chodesh was on Sunday, therefore Saturday was the 7th day of the month, whereas according to the Chachamim, Rosh Chodesh was on Monday, and the revelation, the 6th day of the Sivan, was on Shabbat. Pei Zayin, 87. Shlosha dvarim asa Moshe midato. According to the sages, Moshe did 3 things of his own accord, having not been instructed to do so by God, and yet hiskima kadosh baruch hu imo. Post facto, after the fact, God agreed with Moshe's action, his independent action. What were these 3 things? 1, Hosif Moshe Yom Echad Midato. Moshe added 1 day to the preparatory period before the revelation at Sinai, meaning it happened 1 day later than it was expected to because Moshe included 1 more day of getting ready. Secondly, Piresh min Haisha. Moshe was not told to separate himself from his wife, and yet he nonetheless did so of his own accord, thinking that it was appropriate for a person with regular face-to-face communication with God not to be sexually active. Thirdly, Shiberet Haluchot, that Moshe smashed to smithereens the first set of tablets of the Aseret HaDibrot. He was not commanded to do so, yet he thought it was the correct thing, and having done so, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God gave him a Yasher Koach after the fact. 88, Pechet. The Torah says that the Israelites were assembled and standing below the mountain. Here, the Talmud famously says, that God put the mountain of Sinai above the heads of the Israelites like an overturned vat. And he said threateningly, ominously to the Israelites, if you accept the Torah now, good. And if you do not accept the Torah now, sham teikvuratchem, you will be buried right here. This will be your end. Mikan moda arabalo raita. So from here the sages said, this means that there was coercion in acceptance of the Torah, and that if people were to violate the law of the Torah, they would have some kind of an excuse, a moda araba, that the whole enterprise of Torah observance was never willingly accepted. Afal pikein, nonetheless, Hador kiblu b'mei Achashverosh. The Jewish people again accepted the Torah in the days of Achashverosh, of the Purim story. Dichtiv kimu v'kiblu haYehudim, that the Jewish people accepted and observed what they had previously accepted. Kimu ma shekiblu kvar. In other words, we no longer have any excuses that there was coercion in the acceptance of Torah. It was done in the days of Achashverosh willingly, irrespective of what might have happened in the days of revelation of Mount Sinai. Peitet, 89. Torah tells us, Vayar ha'am ki voshesh Moshe l'redet minahar, that the people saw that Moshe was delayed in coming down from the mountain, from Mount Sinai. And the Talmud homiletically says, Al tikrei boshesh, don't read delayed, ela ba'ushesh, but rather the 6th hour has arrived. In other words, before Moshe went up to Mount Sinai, he told the people that he was going to return in the 6th hour of the 40th day after his ascent. When that time arrived, and Moshe had not come down, the Satan, the accusatory angel, tried to confuse the people and to get them to do the wrong thing. So he made it appear as though the time had passed when it had not yet passed, but the people did not listen to the Satan. Then he said Moshe died, and still they did not listen to the Satan. Then the Satan showed an image of a coffin, as though Moshe were dead and buried in a coffin, up in the sky. At that point, The people said to Aaron, Ki zeh Moshe ha'ish. We don't know what happened to this man Moses, and the rest is history. They worshipped the golden calf. So the Satan introduced uncertainty into the equation that led to the golden calf incident. Sadi, page 90. Ha'omer harei alai barzel. If a person says, I have to bring barzel, metal, into the temple, iron into the temple, acharim omrim lo yifchok ma'alama. The person who makes that promise must give at least 1 cubit squared piece of metal. Lamai chazia. What is this good for? What is it going to be used for? Rav Yosef lakalya orev. It's for a crow chaser. Meaning, on top of the temple building, there were spikes, metallic spikes, that were designed to keep birds from defiling the location by resting on top of the heichal. So with these crow chasers, with these sharp metallic items on the top of the temple building, the birds would stay away. Sadi Aleph, 91. Hagonev kis b'Shabbat. If you steal a purse, a wallet on Shabbat, chayav, you are liable not only for the Sabbath violation, but also for the act of stealing. Shekvar nitchayav b'gneva kodem shavod isur Shabbat, because you already were guilty of theft before you took the purse, the wallet, out into the public domain and violated the Shabbat. Now there is a general principle of komle b'derababinei, that when 2 violations occur simultaneously, the punishment is only for the more severe of the violations. And so if an act of theft and an act of Sabbath desecration were to happen simultaneously, there would only be punishment for the Sabbath desecration, which is a capital crime, and there would be no financial penalty for the act of theft. In the case of stealing and then taking it out into the public domain, the theft occurred first, which means that there are 2 different liabilities that are imposed upon the thief. However, if the person who was stealing the wallet was dragging it on the floor, so that they never actually took possession of the wallet before doing the Sabbath desecration, in that case, they'd be exempt from paying a financial penalty for stealing, because the act of theft and the act of Sabbath desecration would have occurred simultaneously, and komle b'derab minei, the Shabbat penalty is imposed only. Sadi Bet, 92. The Mishnah tells us that when one takes something out of the public domain, if they do so in an ordinary fashion, they are liable. If they do so in an irregular fashion, they are not liable. So, if you use your right hand or your left hand to take something out, you are chayav, you are guilty. Betocheko, on your chest, or al tefav, or on your shoulders, chayav, you're liable. Why? Because on the shoulder was the method of Bnei Kahat, that the Kahat family of the Levium, when they would carry the sacred vessels of the tabernacle, they did so on their shoulders. And so these are all normal ways, therefore guilty. However, kla'achar yado, if it's in an unusual fashion, b'raglo, with one's foot, b'piv, in one's mouth, b'mafar kato, in one's armpit, b'ozno, in one's ear, b'saro, in one's hair, b'sfat chaluko, b'nalo, in the hem of your clothing or in your shoe, those are all odd ways of carrying, and in those scenarios, patur, you be exempt, because you did not do it in the ordinary fashion. Everyone have a great week.